So anyways, like, it was food poisoning, man. Like, I had not felt this bad in a while. Dude, imagine, like, just having to rip a dirty shit on the side of the road, and then you'd got no toilet paper. What do you just fucking bite the bullet and pull your pants up and drive home? Like, I don't know. Like,
Yo, you got to do that 405 pullover.
dude, exactly, man. The 405 pullover, just let it out.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the DP Podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Pinto, and thank you for joining me today. My guest today is someone that I met through an artist that I ended up playing for, and he was playing keyboard for this gig, and his name's Johan Carpenter, and, you know, he's such a nice dude, such an interesting dude. Like, he has such a vibe when he talks, and I'm sure you'll get that vibe when you start talking to him. But we talked a little bit about his upbringing, him living between the States and Japan, and just kind of surprisingly, like, the kind of trials and tribulations he had to go through living in Japan. You know, some of the, I guess, exclusion or racism for not being 100% Japanese and being from that country. There was some things that he had to go through to the point to where his dad even had to pull him out of school. But you know, just this, having the opportunity to talk to these people that I play for, and just seeing, or just see the people, the bandmates around him, helps me see, like, how much we all go through things. But it's not all doom and gloom. We talk about all the positives, his upbringing in music, his thoughts on being in a band, and how the communication between that band happens, because he was the music director in this with this artist that I was playing for. And Johan also writes his own music and makes his own beats. You can check him out on Spotify. I'm sure he has stuff on iTunes, YouTube, or you can also check out his Instagram. So anyways, let's start the show with this song. Hello and welcome to another episode of the DP Podcast, double penetrating your skull through both the ear holes. With me today is a special guest, fellow musician. He's a guy that I played with in a band called Faking the Soul Aesthetic. It's an independent band. You can actually check it out. We got some music videos out. They're kind of embarrassing but cool. Right? But he is a producer, engineer, multi-instrumentalist. You know, he plays keys in the band that I play with him. But he also does bass gigs and many other things. Well, without further ado, let me introduce him, Johan Carpenter.
Hi, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
What's good, man? Like, I think last gig we did together was in October with Faking the Soul Aesthetic at the Federal, right? Top floor?
Yeah, seems like ages ago. But that was a good one. It was fun.
Yeah, I think the one we did before was better. What was that place called? I've been trying to figure out. The one we did where we made everybody dance.
Oh, crap.
It was like a bar.
Yeah, it was El Cid.
El Cid?
I think it was El Cid, wasn't it?
I don't know. Man, I don't think so.
Wait.
With the patio area?
The patio area.
And Leo's brother came, and, like, my ex came.
Oh, crap. Yeah, that top
on
floor.
Sunset?
On Sunset. I mean, I can probably pull it up.
Well, let's talk about some other stuff while we talk about that. But that was the last gig we did together, and with that, and I think there's really been much going on with that. But what have you been up to since then, man? Because I mean, I've talked to you a little bit, I think, before COVID started, but not really anything during the quarantine until besides, like, oh, hey, what's up, like hitting each other up on Instagram, but nothing personal, I'd say.
Yeah.
So what you been up to, man? I know you did a gig a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I did a gig in the desert. It was super fun, social distanced. Everyone was camping there for a few days, you know, just enjoying nature and each other's company.
Who was throwing it? How'd you even get a part of that?
Well, it was kind of like just this secret event, invite-only type deal.
Was it a paid gig?
No, I just did this one, like, as a favor to a friend.
Okay.
But also it was like, hey, like, drive out to the desert, meet a bunch of cool people, hang out, and play some old Hendrix tunes and stuff like that. So, I mean, I would have
done that gig.
Exactly,
Hendrix,
yeah. Dude, we did some Hendrix, some Grateful Dead, you know, just like all the fun stuff.
And you played bass on that one, right?
Yeah. And I always love playing bass on those old rock tunes because, you know, there's just so much room to kind of improvise and jam out to these.
Put your own thing into it?
Yeah. Put your own flavor into it.
Mm-hmm. So then what else have you been up to with COVID? Have you been being, like, pretty safe about it, or?
So I this year it was crazy. I I actually ran the LA Marathon, and I've never
What?
I've never really done the whole running thing, but I kind of made an agreement with a friend that we would do it in 2020, and we wanted to do like 26 miles before we turned 26. So the 26.2, yeah, it was it was
that's
crazy. It took a lot of discipline, you know. Like I wasn't drinking for the first like month and a few weeks of 2020. Really took my health pretty seriously. Was running every day, and then COVID started happening, and like all these marathons were like getting shut down and everything. So
Right.
So part of me was like, okay, you know, if it does get shut down, it's kind of cool because I'm like, okay, maybe I can train more. But then, you know, I feel like the momentum would have been slowed down. And but yeah, we were able to run it, and then literally like the week later, everything like shut down, everything. And yeah, if it was a week later, I think it would have been canceled. But since then, yeah, I've been falling out of shape just with COVID.
Yo, hey, that's understandable for a lot of people. I've been trying to maintain it as best I can.
Yeah, it's like what happened with COVID was kind of crazy. Like everyone was like, "Oh, like I'm so bored. There's nothing to do." But it's like for someone like me who's a producer and engineer, like it kind of brought everybody out of the woodwork. Like all of a sudden, everyone's hitting me up like, "Hey, like let's produce something," because everyone has time. Like everyone's being creative. So I was never.
Yeah, I did a couple things. So yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, it was like it was super cool to see everyone come out, reach out, and then like I just got booked up super fast, and I have not experienced that like overwhelming boredom that a lot of people have in this whole process. But yeah, I've been staying busy, been working on a lot of music, whether that's, you know, mixing,
You releasing any
engineering.
of it anytime soon, or is it like individual, or like how you were just explaining? Is it with
There's been
other
a few
people?
things, yeah. I mean, like, there's a couple tracks that already came out this year that I worked on, that I mixed. One was with Evan from Heaven, and he's actually like a world yo-yo champion, which is kind of crazy.
That's
yeah.
random, man.
Yeah, no, super cool guy. Super cool guy. It was a great track. It was super fun working on it. I've worked on some stuff with another friend who just released a single, and he's kind of like, you know, in the incubation area, like part of his music career. I guess a lot of us at this age kind of are. We're
Trying to
kinda-
figure out the sound and what it is.
Figure out like who you are. I mean, like it's crazy. Like branding is so important, like more now than ever. I think,
Especially with Instagram and what TikTok or Twitter or whatever.
yeah.
maybe.
I mean, like a lot of me, like coming from the creative musician side, like doesn't necessarily agree with that. But in order to like, you know, develop a following and all this other stuff, like you really need to put emphasis on that. But I think for people like me who are not, you know, the most adept at that, have to really like consult and work with other people in terms of that, you know. And I think a lot of musicians do fall into that. Like there are like the two types of musicians: the ones who are like really like deep into like the music and the craft, and then there's the ones that are kind of really into like the, I guess, the public persona of what it is to be an artist, like the artist side.
There's also a lot of people that just settle.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? And that's just like kind of human nature. A lot of people like to settle, and it's hard. It's very easy to settle, you know, instead of
Yeah.
letting those creative juices flow, because that's stressful, you know. But you know, I was actually like thinking about this. I think I might have brought this up before, but about like Jim Morrison. He said like I have like huge bursts of motivation and inspiration, and then long periods of like laziness. And I'm like that I feel like that describes a lot of musicians.
Dude, I completely agree with that. I mean, like, in my life, I guess I would call it more of like, kind of like stretches of order and stretches of chaos. And it's like when I was like training for like the marathon, like having like a routine and being super strict to it, like it develops certain fruits that you can like get from that. You know, there's like a lot of good that comes out of
Discipline
having,
and like lessons that you're learning from it.
yeah,
you know?
yeah. And it's like you need
It
that.
probably feels good to work out, and like after, and you know, all the
Yeah,
results.
yeah. You know, your blood's flowing, everything's good, and then you're really like on top of like a schedule and stuff like that. And then whereas like kind of like quarantine for me, it's been like more on the chaotic side, I'd say. Just like trying to. I mean, I've been working a lot, but I need to get my mornings back because that's like kind of where I really focus on self-improvement and stuff like that. You know.
Yeah, like you like to work out in the mornings and
Yeah.
do all that type of business, like clean the house, get that in the mornings, and then the rest of the day you can chill.
Yeah, like
I feel that.
meditate and stuff, you know, like all the good stuff to really like set your day in order, you know. But on the flip side, the chaos is also very good for me. It's like that's where you kind of like dive into the other aspect of being a human being. It's like
The belly of the beast.
exactly, and it's like there's actually a lot of inspiration that comes out of that. I feel like I'm more inspired in like my bouts of chaos than I am when I'm in order, because there's like less of, I guess, like an internal dialogue going on when everything's like in order. Then there's like when you're in chaos, though, there's a lot more of an internal dialogue in terms of like self-improvement, like your own emotions and stuff like that. And I mean, for a lot of people, like they can't handle that kind of stuff because they don't know how to work with it. But for me, like I'll channel that into writing music, lyrics, whatever like that. That's where my most creative stuff comes from, is the chaos, really.
Yeah, because suffering causes a lot of creativity. You know, like I said, there's you settle if there's no problems.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
creativity comes when there's a problem. You know, if there's a jar of cookies up on the top of the fridge, and you're a little kid, you're thinking, okay, this is the problem. Now I have to think of a creative solution to solve the problem. And then you just apply that to every aspect of life, whether it's music or whatever. It's like you have this issue and you're struggling. So there's always this struggle. That's why when people aren't, or like, oh, they're washed up, they're not creative. Like the guy who like is a fighter, right? And then he like rags to riches, and now he's rich, so he's like, whatever, I'm chilling, I don't need to train. And then he gets his ass whooped, like that Mexican dude, you know, the fat Mexican dude who beat the black dude, and then the second time they fought, boom, gets his ass whooped.
Yeah, it's, I guess, complacency. It's kind of an enemy, and it's like, I guess, especially with creative people, we have a weird relationship with suffering. It's like we almost like crave it in certain ways. It's almost like a masochistic relationship with it. Like, I feel like if I eliminated every like avenue of what causes me personal suffering, it would just also kind of like choke out my creativity. It's weird. I don't know. I maybe it's a false belief. It could very well be, but it's like I know all the things in my life that I could address, fix to really like move to the next step of like a better, more ordered life. But sometimes there's that counterweight.
There's temptation.
Yeah, and it's like
there's
counter
a lot
force
of
that pulls
things.
back. Yeah,
Like if someone's like, hey man, you want to do this or that, and then it distracts you from your goals.
Yeah. But it's like that's life, you know. It's like you just
you got to roll with the punches.
Yeah, roll with the punches, and it's like it ain't perfect, you know. And that's kind of the perfection of it, is just entire hodgepodge of all these like problems and imperfections that are all working together.
So can we like go back for a second and talk about what started all that? What started your creativity? What sparked that? You know, your interest in piano or guitar or whatever instrument it may have been that was your first instrument.
Oh yeah. So I've always been surrounded by music. My mom is a concert pianist. She teaches piano at the Tokyo University of Arts.
In Japan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
she's still over there, and so's my dad. But
Dope.
But yeah, she's deep in music, and my dad's more on the computer side of things. He was like programming stuff for a bunch of different companies, and that was kind of his wheelhouse. So I mean, I kind of fell in the middle, being like an audio engineer now, and I love it. I love the technical side, and I love the musical side. But I started off playing piano when I was like 3, and have some like formal lessons and whatnot. But then like somewhere when I was like, I don't know, 4 or 5, maybe 6, I was like, screw that. I want to go outside. I want to like play soccer. I got to like, hang out with my friends and do all that. And then it was like one Christmas, I think I was 12, and I was like super into the All American Rejects. Like, honestly, hey, they write great songs. They're, great pop rock, and I mean, I still listen to them today. Like,
yeah, it hits you.
It does. It did. That sparked something, and then all of us. And also Guitar Hero came out around that time as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I feel you. I mean, yeah, we're about that age, so yeah. I mean, I remember I played the crap out of that.
Dude, it was so fun, man. And
100
introduced people to such good music, and like, that
and artists that people wouldn't have ever listened to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Eric Johnson on like Guitar Hero 3, or like, so much stuff. I'm like,
there's so much. Yeah, Guitar Hero 3 was the big one. That was so good.
Like 2 was really like the takeoff, but 3 was like solidified it.
Yeah. Because when like Slash was in that and stuff, right? Like that was crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that
Like
was
Devil Went
super
Down to
cool.
Georgia. Like,
Oh, yeah.
What would have made that song popular? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Hey, that's an awesome song, man. The fiddles and that.
Right. But who would have
Awesome.
thought that would be like a hit? You know,
Yeah.
like, but because of this game's popularity, people are like, "Yo, this is it."
Yeah, no, I think actually it's like so many people picked up an actual guitar after playing that. So like,
Yeah,
I think
I
that
mean,
was
I
really
did
good.
after, but it wasn't because of Guitar Hero. It was because my brother got a guitar.
oh, nice.
Yeah, and it just happened to be around that era.
Yeah. So it's like mine's kind of a similar way. Like that Christmas, we all wanted to basically get instruments. So I have 2 younger brothers, Raphael and Gabe, and Raphael got a guitar for Christmas, and he got a drum set for Christmas, and I guess like my mom already had a piano, so I think we got like a keyboard or something. And then, but yeah, we started like a brothers band, and from that Christmas on, we were just like infatuated with music. You know, it's like we started off kind of writing like stuff that's in the same vein as like All American Rejects. You know, just like some
Yeah,
poppy
your
rock stuff.
influences.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's like, and that was actually like I liked that entrance in the music because it started off with, you know, kind of a nice formulaic, simple way of like writing like pop tunes, and that's like, you know, kind of where LA fits in, is like it's got such like a scene or like a musical identity to have more of like that formulaic pop that everyone likes to listen to. You know, it's like really good to like it's appealing to a lot of audiences. You know, and that's kind of where I started off, was writing those kind of tunes, and then we eventually we moved to Japan after that, to Kyoto. So this was in upstate when we first started, upstate New York. And yeah, I was
You've been
12.
around, man.
Oh, dude. I mean, yeah, we can do the chronological thing. I was born in Tokyo, actually,
Really?
and I was there for 3 years. I mean, like
But you don't remember it,
I don't
or-
remember
yeah,
much. Yeah, like not much. But then I moved to upstate New York, and that's where my dad's from. And it's like the country, man. Like I'm technically part of a village of like 200 people, but like maybe it's a little more. Maybe it's like 300. But
Wow. It's
and-
funny that you forget that how big New York is. You know?
Dude, everyone thinks I say I'm from upstate New York, and they're still like, man, I love the city. It's like, dude, the city is so south.
yeah, it's just-
it's this little tip that's like just hanging off of this massive state, and the rest of the state is just so beautiful. Like
It
it's.
shows how ignorant we are as a country.
I mean, when you think California, you think LA. You know, it's like there's only so much knowledge we can hold about anything, and especially when we're like having an inductive like assumption of something, it's like that's all you can do. If like you've never actually been someplace, it's like you just have this concept that's there.
Right, and that's why we got to get out and experience things, man.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but anyways, let's move forward with your story. Like, so you were in Tokyo, and then you were in upstate New York
Yeah, so
for most of your life, or
so I was there. Yes, I was there till I'd say around like 12, like a little after 12, maybe 14. Then we moved back to Japan, but not Tokyo. We moved to Kyoto because my mom got a job offering there.
So now we're back to where we were. So now you're into music. You got your stuff in your Kyoto.
Yeah, well, now we're in Kyoto, and I went to public schools there, so all Japanese. And I didn't really know the language, but you know, eventually I picked it up because it's like a survival thing.
Can you speak it now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, dope.
Yeah, I'm still pretty fluent. Like, for not, you know, kind of flexing that muscle a lot, I've retained a good amount of it because I've gone back here and there, and I can still, you know, speak pretty fluently with everyone there. And but yeah, we went to schools there, but it was kind of weird because we would go, but we kind of like my little brothers didn't really like vibe with the system. So then my dad would kind of like keep us out.
What do you mean by that? By like the school system, or
I mean, it was weird. We're like the only
like cultural?
like it's just a huge.
Because I know there they have so much respect. Because I was actually talking to someone earlier about like when I was in Japan, like the way they go up escalators, someone stays on the right side, and the people who are like in a rush go up the left side, right? And then
Yeah.
in the trains they have signs that say "Do not speak." You know, so you have to be quiet in the train. And then if anybody's older than you, you have to show respect. It's like all respect, like to like the nth degree, like such a standard.
It's funny because the actual public school system itself is like almost the complete opposite. It's like chaos, dude. Kids like cussing out teachers sometimes. Like there's
So
like
they like really go out.
yeah, dude. I honestly
That's
don't
why
know.
all the animes are in high school.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. It's like, dude, yeah, like everyone would like just be loud as shit, and like it would just be chaos. I mean, like there was definitely like parts that were like order and respect, but there was also so much that wasn't. But like we were the only like kids that weren't like fully Japanese, because I'm half Japanese. My mom's Japanese, and my dad is just, I don't know, from upstate New York, just very like, I guess, American, Western European. But but yeah, since we were like the only different kids there, like I was old enough to kind of like, I guess, fend for myself and like make friends and whatnot. But then my two younger brothers were still pretty young, and they would experience some like bullying, discrimination, that kind of stuff. And like it wasn't like a healthy, space for them.
Yeah,
So,
it's because
yeah.
kids are assholes when they're that age.
Dude, yeah, these kids were brutal. But like, yeah, so my dad would kind of pull them out for like long periods of time, and like since it's like
So like homeschool them.
kind of, yeah, we'd like kind of homeschool. Like I would stay out for like months, dude, months. Like we wouldn't go to school for months.
Dang.
And that's like, and then I would just be writing and recording and playing music with my brothers like this entire time.
I mean, I guess that's like the benefit, right? You can become very close with your brothers and was writing music, perfecting this craft, or getting better at it.
Yeah, no, it was actually kind of, yeah, it's a blessing to be able to kind of just really hone in on that, because it was weird since we came from America and we went into Japan. It's like there's that cultural like relativism that's there, and then also like since my dad, is very American, he didn't really feel tied to like their system of like how things are. So he was like, screw it, like let's just not
Like
go to school.
I don't hold yeah.
Yeah, whereas like here, like I mean, I'm pretty tied up in the culture here and just how things work. It's like you wouldn't really like think of just like taking a kid out of school for like an extended period of time. Like I guess you can homeschool someone, but like even that has kind of its own curriculum.
Yeah,
and
but your dad
everything.
was thinking, hey, this is for the well-being of my kids. This is for their mental health, and it's like this isn't good for them. Like this is
Yeah,
what school's
yeah.
supposed to be.
Exactly. It's like why would you keep sending your kid to some place where it's like just wasn't working for him?
Good on them, instead of forcing them, like you have to go.
Yeah. We just weren't tied to the system, and like I loved going to school there, and it was really cool. It's kind of a mind trip learning about World War II and like being the only like white kid there.
Oh, and they're like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, it's like learning about the two bombs, and you're just like, but like in the same like sense, like my mom's Japanese, my dad's white, so it's like we're kind of already this genetic treaty that I am. You know what I mean? It's like two opposing sides made kids together. Mm-hmm. So it's like, yeah, it's a genetic handshake in many senses. But yeah, so we would just work on music like a lot, and then we would bounce back and forth from Kyoto, Japan, back to upstate New York. It would kind of alternate like year by year sometimes. So I'd like go to middle school in Japan and then go to middle school in New York, and somewhere down the line, like Japan's high school system is kind of like our college system, where it's like divided up into like the public schools and private schools, and you like test into them. You take like kind of like this like SAT thing or whatever, and you have to like,
That's crazy.
yeah, it's super weird. It's like, I don't know. So people go to public schools and people go to like the private schools. So I ended up testing into this private school, but the tuition itself was like super expensive, and it's like,
But you have to go because you tested into it, or can you choose not to?
So what happened was like my dad told me like, hey, like you earned it, like you got in, but like financially, like this would basically hinder your brothers from like also like doing schools like this, or like we wouldn't have the money to pay for like 3 of these tuitions essentially.
Yeah.
So
It's expensive for 3 kids.
Yeah. So like we made the decision to like decline, and then we were like, let's just go to the United States where there's like a solid public school system. So at that point, like we got cable or something in Japan, like this like international cable, so I could watch like Disney Channel and whatnot.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was funny, but yeah, you can like switch from like Japanese to English and stuff. It was cool, very cool. But then like
Progressive.
yeah, it was sick. I mean, like I grew up with like no cable most of the time. Like in upstate New York, it was just like you set up that big ass antenna somewhere in your house and hope like you get those airwaves, But when I got that, I was like kind of infatuated with just like Disney Channel stuff. Like I just, those shows were dope, Like, and I kind of had like a fixation on California. So instead of going
Okay.
back to upstate New York, I was kind of talking with my dad about like, hey, like why don't we go to California? And then like he was like, oh, it's kind of expensive, blah blah blah. And then I'm just like spitballing places, and like Stockton was like one of the ones that came up, and my dad's like, dang, he's like really trying to go, because Stockton's like, I think it's gotten better, but back then it had kind of a reputation of like crime and just not the best place. But
Rough neighborhood.
rough, yeah. You know, like I mean, I've never lived in Stockton, so I can't really speak for it. But that was just kind of the perception that we had, or at least my dad had on it. And then he was like, okay, like let's try to find some place. So we ended up moving to Sacramento, and we moved into like a 2-bedroom apartment, but it was just me, my dad, and my 2 brothers. My mom stayed back because she was basically the earner at this point, working as a piano professor. So we all moved to Sacramento, and then we found like a good school district, and obviously like it's public school, so like basically free. So we all went through the public school system there, and it was great. I mean, great teachers, great like sports and all that good
Man,
stuff.
that's good.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure your dad was happy.
Yeah, no, he also just wanted to, you know, take his kids to America too. You know what I mean? Just kind of like live both worlds in a sense. But yeah, no, so I moved to Sacramento in 10th grade. But it was also kind of weird because like Japan's like school years and America's school years didn't really like line up. So I guess I ended up taking like 4th grade twice or something. I know.
That's weird.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
like you were like in the half year or something.
Yeah, so I started school early, originally in the States. But then like when I moved to Japan, they were like, we go strictly like by age. So I went back a grade, I think. But I mean, like the curriculum's completely different. It didn't feel like I took the same thing again. It's like I'm learning completely different things, like Japanese math, like all these things. But yeah, so we went.
Was it like a very big hindrance for you? Did you feel it, or were you just like, yeah, like I just go with the flow?
I mean, like as a kid at that age, I was just kind of like fearless, you know, like we didn't like when
You
you're
didn't
young,
know any better. You're just like, hey, man, that's just what it is.
Yeah. It's like you just go in guns blazing at that age, and it's like you don't have that.
Like a lot of people underestimate that in kids, you know, because people try to shelter them, and you know, it's like really like they can handle a lot more than you think.
They're resilient, man.
Yeah.
Kids are resilient, and they are just like their brains are so like neuroplastic. So it's like they can just
Right.
yeah.
They're just like, hey, man, this just is what it is. Like I'm gonna go. Like I'm gonna play with my ball.
yeah, and like you know the learning curves as like a child are like I think they're a lot faster than you know adults because like our brains are kind of like solidifying and stuff like in terms of just like the way we perceive things. But like yeah, as a kid like I just like wanted to make friends and have fun, and like that's basically like the mindset that I took going in there. And I was able to, you know, make friends, and then like we would watch like, you know, the shows like every like week a new episode like Naruto come out and stuff like that. And it's like just watching these shows, living the life, like hearing nothing but Japanese basically outside of the home was like you just had to pick it up, you know. It's like just like it'd be like social suicide not to.
So then you get to Sacramento and you're still playing music. How old are you at this time again?
So this is 10th grade. I
Yeah.
always forget like
So, like
what age.
15, 16, something like that.
Yeah.
And so then you were just playing in bands, or what were you doing with musically?
Yeah, so this is actually where I met like Trey. I actually don't know
From
how.
Fake-
yeah. So I don't know, how did I even meet that guy? I don't know, but somewhere along the line because he went to a separate high school.
Party or something, maybe?
Something. It was what was it? But then like because I was also playing in like the church band there. Like so we'd go to mass every Sunday and whatnot. And then we'd play the youth band mass, and that was really cool actually, like just consistently like practicing every week, playing, and it being pretty flexible in terms of just like I mean I think most youth bands are pretty flexible, you know, like just like at that degree of skill that kids have and being accommodating to that. But it was cool, like yeah, we basically like lead everything and arrange everything and do all that basically every week. And so that's where I was doing a lot of music. But then yeah, I met Trey, and then we had a band together. And tying back into the youth band, the drummer to the youth band was Leonard, who was the drummer to the band that me and Trey were in. And then we would go through a couple different guitar players, and my brother played actually for a little bit too. with them. But yeah, we would just kind of do the high school band thing. We'd kind of drive around town and book gigs and practice, get yelled at by the neighbors because it was post-hardcore and we're just like loud as shit in like a garage.
Just going in, hating on your parents.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, that's the craziest thing, man. Like post-hardcore, like metal, all these things. Like so many of the subject matters are like lyrically like pretty dark and stuff. But dude, these are like some of the most like nicest people. You know what I mean? It's a weird dichotomy that's there. But
very accepting.
Yeah, very accepting, and I think it's almost like an emotional catharsis by like kind of like releasing the dark subject matter out of your like psyche.
Yeah,
in a sense.
it's like letting out that anger, that stress, whatever. It's like, oh, now I'm chill.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that's a very therapeutic part of music.
For sure, man. I dig that. And so, when were you thinking at this point like, oh, I'm gonna do music as a career, or were you just like, oh, this is super fun, I'm getting better, it's cool, I'm doing it with my brothers, like, was there an end game to this, or?
See, I mean, that's definitely something that I still don't even have an answer to. It's just like something that I do. Like, and I love doing it. Mm-hmm. And for me, like, there's not really any like definition of, I guess, success that I'm tying to that I like really want to pursue, I guess. People would, they'll be like, okay, yeah, like you're lacking direction, I guess, in that sense. But like, no, I don't know. I'm really satisfied.
Or they'll be like, oh, that's just an artsy answer or something,
Yeah.
Like you can pick apart at it like however way somebody wants, if they're trying to hate on it,
Yeah, I mean, like I do see the the value of setting like goals, tangible goals and whatnot. But I also see the value in really like just embracing the time you're in and the things you're doing every second of your life. It's like this is what we got. Mm-hmm. And
very much so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like you do live that way in a sense. Yeah. But I mean, did you have fun playing with Trey? And I mean, like us all together?
Oh, of course. Yeah,
it was fun.
Yeah,
it was pretty fun.
Great time.
But when we got here, we were talking a little bit before the podcast, chilling, and we were talking about how you were a little hungover and stuff. And then we started talking about drinking stories and just bad experiences. Anything to share with us, man? What was going on? Or just tell us about what was going on the night, or what's up?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Labor Day weekend, just to fill everybody in the context. So it's
give them context from when the episode goes.
Yeah. So this is Labor Day right now. So Monday of a 3-day weekend. And so, I mean, I started off Friday, just in studio sessions, doing production sessions. And then Saturday was also like all day session work. And I mean, we're like casually drinking and everything throughout the process. And then we ordered like dinner, which was Panda Express. And honestly, like I love Panda Express. It's like, it's dirty, but it's dirty cows that are just good for your soul sometimes. But then, yeah, so like it was from noon to like midnight. Felt pretty good the entire day, the entire session. And then I get home at like midnight, and then like something just like hit me, man. Hit me like right in my gut, and I was like, I need to just go yak.
Oh.
And I just basically purged everything out, man.
Isn't it funny when you're that drunk? It's just like you just go in one direction. Like you
dude,
feel it in your
that's
mind.
The thing,
just
dude.
like, ooh.
Dude, I wasn't even drunk, man. Like I made sure, yeah, because like for the session work, like I drove there. So, like, it was, very, like, moderate pace drinking over, like, 12 hours. Like, nothing crazy, like, just, like, one drink here and there,
Mm-hmm.
Just have
as the
something
day
to
went
sip
on.
Yeah. So, nothing, like, crazy. Like,
And for other people, they're like, wait, you're drinking during the day?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, man.
I mean, dude, it's 5 o'clock
Live
somewhere.
a little. Like, did you not hear his motto? Come on, guys, listen.
Exactly. Yeah, embrace the moment. I mean, hey, it's always a great time. I do love to share drinks with people,
I mean, we're drinking right now. We're drinking
yeah.
tequila. We're drinking some Don Julio Reposado, barrel aged, like 10 months.
Yeah, no, it's very tasty, very good. But I'm sipping pretty slow. Just like this is literally where we're at now, and I'm gonna tie it to where I was. So, anyways, like it was food poisoning, man. Like it was. I had not felt this bad in a while.
And you have to do a session while you have this.
No, this is thank the Lord. Like this was after the session.
Okay.
So after I got home, this is when it all hit me.
Okay, that's good, man.
Yeah. And I was like, dude, if I felt like this driving back from Burbank, I was gonna just like, oh my god, I'd probably shit myself in the car.
Oh my god. Yo, you gotta do that 405 pullover.
Dude, exactly, man. The 405 pullover, just let it out. That's what
man.
I mean.
Let
Like,
go and let God.
that's actually, yeah, the getting in the desert taught me that I should probably keep toilet paper in my car. Like, I don't have it now, but I should probably keep at least a roll, like
High key, I got a roll.
in your car.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
But I mean,
it's
I
smart,
haven't
though,
used it.
Okay.
I've never had to use it, but you
Dude,
never know.
it's just nice to have, man.
You
Like,
never know.
Dude, imagine like just having to rip a dirty shit on the side of the road, and then you've got no toilet paper. What do you just fucking bite the bullet and pull your pants up and drive home? Like, I don't know. Like,
Use your underwear and go commando.
I mean, that's basically, yeah,
It's like the
exactly
most logical.
Yeah, that's probably the
It's
only
not the
thing.
fun one.
Exactly. You just gotta sacrifice one. But yeah, so I'm just like throwing up and just like shit in my brains out the entire night. But it's like I also had a planned like brunch that was like 5 hours from like when I was still up, just like dying. I was like dying till like 5 a.m. And no, yeah, people were in town, and then this is yesterday. So Sunday, go to brunch, and then basically it was just a marathon of hopping to different places, Ubering around, and I mean, I'm feeling it today. That's all I can say. But
Dang.
but I feel good, like comparatively.
Yeah. And then, but I was like telling you like a story in Bahrain, like for me, where I got super messed. Like this is the most drunk I ever got, and we Bahrain was a funny contract because usually in the contracts you only play at night, right? Like 9 p.m. on, but we had to do a Friday brunch every week, right, for like 3 hours, and so Thursday night. I just get so shit-faced. I don't even know what I drank, to be completely honest, but I get so freaking messed up that when I wake up the next morning, I literally can't get out of bed. Like, I don't want to move. I just want to die. I just feel like my stomach gargling. I feel like I'm, like, when you're drunk, you feel like you're spinning in circles, and sometimes when you're too high, you feel like you're doing loops. I feel like I was just doing both, just going
you're
all
just
over
in
the
orbit,
place.
man. You're just flying around.
I was just like, man, I feel like I'm in the movie Gravity. But, so I'm like, oh my God, I have to do this brunch, and I text the band in the group chat, our Facebook group chat. I'm like, I can't do the gig, and so everybody's like, wait, Daniel's always on time doing his thing. Then if he can't do it, that means he can't do it.
Yeah.
You're
accountable.
Yeah. So they're like, cool, we'll cover you. It's all good. Josh can play guitar for you. And I'm like, great. And so then I'm like, I have to throw up. And so we have a bidet. A lot of Americans don't know what a bidet is, to wash your ass, and a toilet. And so then I sit down and I just start just spraying diarrhea out of my asshole and vomiting just yellow, like lime, like acid out of my mouth into the bidet at the same time. I'm just like letting go. And I was like, oh my God, this is the lowest point. I'll never drink again. Like, please God, just let me get through this. I don't know. Am I dying? And
Dude, it's only up from there. It's only up from there.
No, man. And I finish, and I'm like, okay, I need to make it back to the bed. And it takes me like 15, 20 minutes to get back, just from so much pain. And then I lay back down. And then the brunches, I'm like waking in and out. And every time I wake up, I just feel like I'm going to die. So I try to fall back asleep. And so then Josh shows up at like after the brunch. He's like, hey man, can I help you or anything? And I'm like, I answered the door. Like, it takes me a while, but he's like, can I get you anything, man? Like, he keeps banging on the door. And so I finally open it, and I'm like, man, I'm all good, man. It's all good. And he's like, okay, cool, man. So then he leaves me, and then I just go back into the restroom and just do the same thing again. It was just all bad. But then I have to play the show that night. So I finally like go to sleep again, wake up at 7, take a shower. I'm like, okay, now I feel like I can stand on stage and play the songs. I'm not gonna move or do any choreography. I'm just gonna stand and play. And then Josh is like telling me, man, you're just going through alcohol withdrawal. You just need a Corona. And he gives me a Corona beer, bro. I chug it down like it was like the nastiest beer I've ever tasted. I mean, I like Corona, but it was in that moment, it's not what I needed.
Yeah,
you
dude,
know,
you got to be in the mindset, and your body's got to be in the right place.
But man, it healed me. It brought me back.
Dude, honestly, it's
and
the
I
best
played the
cure.
show.
It's the best cure. It's just offsetting the pain,
Right. But you have anything like that, man?
Dude, I mean, I'm in the same club that you're in, the simultaneous puke shit. Like that's
Both
happened.
holes.
Dude, like thank God I was next to like a sink in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? So like it was. I felt that probably
Wait,
crushing.
give us a setup. What was the background? What led to this point?
I mean, just some of like the standard excursions that happen on a Thursday. Was it Thursday or Friday night? Just one of those nights that it was like, hey, I feel great and I'm going in, and I just went in that night. But it was like 3 a.m. I wake up, and I'm like at my girlfriend's place, and I'm just like, oh no. It's just like, oh crap, like I am super hungover now, or I don't even know, like still kind of drunk. I don't know where I was, but I stumbled into the bathroom, and I'm just like, oh my God. And it's like just one of those terrible booze shits, it's like just dried up fucking razor blades, and you're just like, oh my God.
Jesus.
Just like absolute agony as it's happening. But then it's like, as it's happening, this fucking horrid smell hits my nose from my shit. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But then it's like, boom, like huge reaction. I'm like, I need to throw up. And then I blew chunks into the sink right next to it.
Oh.
Yeah, it was bad. But then not same thing, but blowing chunks into a sink has happened before, and it happened in Jerusalem of all places.
In Jerusalem?
Yeah.
Damn, bro, what the hell? Well, at least you had God watching over you.
Yeah, dude, the holy city, man.
Yeah, man, it's not a bad deal, I guess.
No, it was because I went to go visit my friend who was he's doing some like medical work there, and he was also part of this like birthright thing that was going on. So he was staying in this house, but I haven't seen him in a while, and I was like, yeah, man, like we're in like a new country, blah blah blah. So we go to like the Shuk, which is like this, I don't know, marketplace or something, and just start drinking these like, I don't even know what that liquor was called, but it was like
absinthe or
no, it was
it was some crazy like Israeli type thing. Or?
Yeah, it was like super cheap, but like lethal,
Oh my God, yeah,
And we
that's
were
the
just
worst.
down on that stuff, man. And then like, I just was so out of it when we got back to the place, and I guess I just blew chunks into their kitchen sink, and this is like a shared space. Like everyone uses
Did you
that
clean
kitchen.
it out though?
Dude, that's the thing. I didn't even know I did it, but then I woke up at like 5.
You didn't know this happened?
No. I didn't know, but then like I wake up like by some miracle at 5, and everyone gets up at like 5:30 there. And I'm just like, oh, I need water. And then like I literally walk over to the sink to get water, and I'm like, oh crap. I'm like, these people are gonna hate my guts if they see this shit. So I had to like literally basically just stick my entire hand into that sink and just like finger that shit out and then throw it into the trash, and it looked like nothing happened.
Jesus, how bad was that smell, man?
Oh, dude, horrible. But I've smelled worse.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, no, it was bad. But yeah, no, we threw it all out, and then like people started waking up, and I was like, yeah, what's good, guys? Like just meeting everyone. I'm like, yeah, just saying, I yacked in that sink, but I cleaned it up. And everyone's like, okay, thanks. But yeah, no, they were surprisingly chill about it, and apparently I won the best house guest of the year. Or whatever, they really had like some sort of competition, but
Oh, that's cool.
I was
But
like yeah, considering.
but like, so you went to Israel. I didn't know that. But have you been like to any other countries? And like, what have been any crazy experiences or anything you've
God,
seen?
dude,
like,
actually,
or even for gigs? Because I know. Oh yeah, you did a gig like overseas. I think right before like with Fake and stuff. I remember seeing like maybe you were in England or somewhere in Europe.
yeah. See, it's like it's so crazy to just have to like remember your entire life, but now like everything's popping back up. So it's like, so I went to England and Paris, or
for a
London
gig?
and Paris for it was a choir tour. So I sing with the LMU choir, or I did for a few years, and like they would just have us go to like Europe. I've been to Europe twice with them, and we would go through like all these old churches and stuff where a lot of the composers that we'd sing would actually like have done like these concerts and stuff, which was super sick. And I just love the old architecture and just the way an old church like sounds. Like it's
like the reverb.
Yeah, it's
I'd
crazy,
love
man.
to hear it. I mean, I don't even know what it like. You know what I mean?
Dude,
you can't really describe
it's
it.
honestly otherworldly to hear a natural reverb. It's like being inside of like a cavern or something. Just like hearing this, like you literally feel the sound traveling through the space.
That's pretty dope.
It's super dope, man. And to like hear your own voice and a bunch of voices with people that you've been singing with for years, like, and like practicing for years and years and years to get these pieces in like the right spots. and to hear that echoed back to you is like it's a spiritual experience. It's like super cool.
Yeah, I've talked about that on the podcast before, like just the kind of like the high you get when you play with other musicians and that sort of feeling. It's like it's not like any other drug.
Yeah,
it's really
like,
weird.
You kind of bleed into that like collective consciousness. It's like there's a word for it. I think it's called like entrainment. It's where like soldiers like would kind of like sync up with like marching and like the battle drum or whatever. Like they would lose a sense of self and it'd be like the collective unit.
Oh, and that's why they would do the drum thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's crazy. Yeah. So like entrainment, I think I'm gonna have to look it up later, but it's that concept of how like a musical experience, like a rhythm or like.
Have you ever gotten that
concert.
feeling though from any psychedelics or anything like that? If you've ever done,
I mean, I guess kind of.
like that kind of unity. Like for example, my brother was telling me like he went to Camp Flogna and like you know Camp Flogna?
Yeah.
Tyler the Creator's festival.
Yeah.
And he took some mushrooms, allegedly, and and no, but he saw like the crowds moving, and he could see kind of like the energy and the unity, and kind of like that kind of how it's on a system. And I feel like sometimes you can like when you experience that kind of thing, you start to hear things like, oh, we're in a simulation. It's like, oh, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, I think, you know, we're just like a fractal of the larger consciousness that's kind of pervading things. And it's like, I mean, I'm not going to go into details about, you know, what I was taking or anything, but I've been, you know, Coachella, Outside Lands, and a bunch of other festivals, and like, there is that magical feeling you kind of get, and I think that's what a lot of live music brings to people, is that kind of like everyone's here like united, and then you kind of feel that. And I've been on both sides, like in the audience feeling that, but also like on stage and feeling that with an audience is like, that's some next level stuff. Mm-hmm. You know, like you can't just like conjure that feeling up. It's just like something that happens to you, and it's just like the light bulb goes off. It's sick. You're just like, you're plugged in a sense.
Yeah, but it's a different kind of plugged in when you're playing with the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is like how you're saying, like you're plugged in, but it's like not a chill vibe. It's like a very exciting.
Yeah, it's electrifying.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess it'd be like the opposite spectrum of that, and maybe that's why there's nothing like it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. It's like
do you get that when you meditate at all?
Yeah, meditation has been super key in terms of like that. Like I'm really big into lucid dreaming and doing a lot of stuff.
I've talked about lucid dreaming with some other people if they've ever had them.
Oh, dude, I am methodical. I am very disciplined in terms of this stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Want to go into that? Like,
yeah,
what do you, like,
yeah.
you know, because I know it means like, oh, you know, you're in your dream and you can like control everything that's going on, right? Mm-hmm. So like you're doing that, like you're controlling everything that's going on in your dream.
Yeah. So it's like it's a very cool experience. I mean, like I don't know what it was, but there was like an innate drive within me to like want to like really explore consciousness, like even as like a little kid, and like somehow like I can.
What did you study in school, by the way? Like
when
you went to college? Yeah.
Oh, I studied. So I double majored
that?
in recording arts. So like obviously recording for film and also for just like studio work and stuff like that. And I also majored in philosophy.
Okay, so maybe that filters into what we're talking about.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. No,
that's why I'm kind of curious. I'm like, if he studied what? Because I'm like, oh, I'm really into it. I'm like, well, maybe if he studied it in college.
Yeah, no. I mean, I originally didn't even have a philosophy major, but I took a philosophy class first semester, freshman year, and it was like the philosophy of like Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, so like Lord of the Rings, Narnia, and stuff like that. And we would read through like a lot of their books and kind of like debate the philosophy behind it, like the morality, because like C.S. Lewis was I think a Protestant, and then Tolkien was like a Catholic, and kind of like seeing like I guess the ways in which they interpreted their faiths and how they displayed it through the characters and stuff of their books. And it was super cool. But yeah, like I had a really good professor, and then we would like hang out after class and like smoke some stoves here and there. And just, like,
Oh,
kinda, like,
damn.
no, he was super cool. And like he was like, hey man, like you should really declare a philosophy major. And then I was like, well, sure. And then I did. And honestly, like it was super good. I mean, like I loved all the classes that I took and all, but for me, like philosophy has always been more of an independent study. Like I'm always like reading books on like philosophy or meditation and all these other things. That's like I've always had a knack to want to like pursue that, especially like kind of reaching the limitations, but also the like endless possibility of like the human like experience, the mind and everything. That's where lucid dreaming ties in. I mean, like it could have been like Inception or some shit that like really like made me want to do it more. But I follow all these like dreaming channels on YouTube like in high school, and I would basically like be meditating a lot, and then I would try to induce these like states like before I'd go to bed, and like it's like nuts what you can do just like with focus and intent. Like, and when you're going to bed, it's like you're shutting down your senses.
Every dream you have is a lucid dream?
No, not everyone.
Only when you concentrate?
So it's like a lot of times it's sporadic as well, where like you'll have them happen. It's a really cool feeling. So like basically, if for anyone who wants to try to lucid dream, there's like a couple things that you have to do, but it's actually like fairly easy. So like first is like you have to like check that you're awake like throughout your daily life, like do things like look at your hands and like look at clocks and like but intentionally be like, okay, like am I dreaming right now? You have to have that thought, and you like look hands, clocks, light switches, that kind of stuff. These things like for most part I would say like 99% of people like it won't work in dreams. Like your hands are going to be different, clocks don't work, like light switches never really work. You can like pinch your nose and like still like breathe. You know what I mean? It's weird. There's all these like things because like the limitations of physics just don't exist in this dream space. And like the first time I went lucid, it's crazy. That actually feels like your body gets like transported into your dream. It's like normal dreaming is like watching a movie kind of, but then it's like a VR experience when it's like lucid dreaming. It's like almost a physical sensation becoming lucid. And the first few times, like when it happens, you're like, oh shit, this is crazy. Then you wake yourself up because you're just like so stoked. But eventually you can like develop the concentration and the ability to just like maintain the dream. And then it's like the first thing that's like a kind of the hurdle for everyone once they start being lucid is you have to disband your like beliefs on physics and everything, because like they still apply in your dreams. Like you're setting your own constraints to yourself. You're like, oh, like I can't fly because there's gravity, blah, blah, blah. But like, no, that's a bunch of bullshit. You could fly right now. You're in a dream. Like anything's possible. So then you're like kind of pulling these like things away from your beliefs, and then you like become limitless. You can do anything. But you're also like in a like kind of like a tug of war like situation with your subconscious. So like things are like happening that you're not super aware of that are developing on their own, but then you have a conscious way of like affecting the dream. You can like, you know, make things appear, you can make things disappear, you know. And I would do a lot of like
how long
work
does it
in
last for?
As long as like you're in the dream. Like for me, like I guess like time is also like one of those concepts that's kind of like loose in like a lucid dream. Like things can feel like super long, super short, whatever. Like I guess like if I would to like kind of like ballpark it, like an average lucid dream like feels like to me probably like an hour. But still, it's like it's a super cool experience. I highly recommend it because it's like you really push the envelope of your mind and how it operates. And I would write papers in my dreams. Like I would do stuff like that, and then I would wake up and just like type it up. So it's like
that's crazy.
It's sick, yeah. And that's like where you can kind of like
it's like you're working in your sleep.
Yeah, no, it's like not even just working, but just like having a blast, because like you can also like, you know, conjure up like an instrument that's like never existed. You could like make music in your dreams, stuff like that, crazy. And but yeah, you're like asleep almost a third of your life. It's like, why not harness that? And it's like you're also
that's insane. Yeah. Like when you're like, oh, I did all this crazy stuff that doesn't exist. It's like you're tripping, but like,
yeah,
you're controlling it. It's weird.
It's limitless, and that's the craziest part. And it's, I don't know, being able to see imagination in its full potential, or at least as full as we can dream. Like, it's a magical experience, and I don't know. It's like it makes you really question what the fabric of this world is, too. You know what I mean? It's
I mean, I've had experiences, you know, so like I know what you mean. But I mean, what do you mean by that when you mean related to lucid dreaming?
So it's like, I think the more accepted school of thought in terms of just like what life is like kind of like consciousness is like came as a product of the material world, where it's like when you start doing more work with like the mind and stuff, it's like almost that gets flipped, where like the material world is kind of like a product of like a dream, and we're like kind of like with newer inquiries in physics and everything, quantum physics and whatnot, like we're really seeing like how like unreal things are. You know what I mean? Like it's mostly like empty space, and now there's dark matter, all this crazy shit. But like, I mean, I'm no physicist, so I can't really speak on it. But just like seeing how the dream world like operates and how it kind of like reverberates, it's almost like music. It's like the same. You kind of like bring that back into this world, and you kind of see how this world is just like all these kind of like vibrations that are kind of bringing matter into like existence, which is just, I don't know, it's nuts. I think it's also something that you kind of develop a knack for like through meditation as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's just some crazy stuff to think about, man.
It is. It's super trippy, but I love it, man. Like I Audible has been super good on having
Audible?
Like, yeah.
Oh, having books for like.
Yeah.
Oh, and you just
so,
listen to?
Yeah, so like just recently, actually, they just put like a library, or they updated kind of like a policy where like they have a bunch of books that are just available like for free with your membership. It used to be like you get 1 credit a month, and then you would basically pick a book each month.
Okay.
Right, and then then they started doing like Amazon like originals, where you get to pick like 2 out of like, I don't know, anywhere between like 5 and like 7 titles or whatever that they choose. So you could pick 2 of those. So you'd get 3 books. But now it's like they have this like baseline catalog of books that are just available, and I just download.
Just cycle through whatever.
Yeah.
Interests you.
Yeah.
I dig. Well, man, I think that's a pretty trippy note to end on, because we've been going for about an hour.
Oh, nice. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug, or any projects that you're doing, or anything like that? Because I know we were talking about how you're doing a lot of stuff right now.
Oh, poor baby.
Yeah, poor baby. Trying. Huh.
But there's a lot of stuff like in the works. I'm not a big promoter of stuff that I do, but there's
Instagram, whatever, man. Like, you gotta promote your own stuff. Someone's gotta hear it.
I mean, hey, Johan Carpenter, that's me. There's gonna be a lot of stuff coming out with other artists. There's actually one EP that's coming out that I basically produced, mixed, and then helped with mastering. But obviously, you need to get another mastering engineer. But that's coming out on the 16th, I believe, and it's with this girl named Jessie Biggio, and it's a really cool kind of like lo-fi.
How do you spell the last name? Jessie what?
Biggio. It's Biggio, and
Okay.
Jessie Jesse.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of songs that I've been writing with Emily Coop, and she's an Australian like singer songwriter.
Like, how do you spell her last name? Like Coup?
Coupe.
Okay.
Yes, and that should all be coming out. I'm mixing a track for John Kuwata of Kuwata right now, and it's a really cool track as well. I worked on stuff with his brother Cameron Kuwata over this weekend, and that's gonna be cool stuff as well. It's like there's a lot of things incubating right now, and then like the biggest thing for me is trying to find time to work on my own stuff. But there should be stuff coming out for me as well soon.
Okay, so we'll keep an ear out. Well, man, this has been the DP podcast with Johan Carpenter, man. I appreciate you for being on, bro.
No, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, anytime. Peace out.
Peace.